The tragic heart attack that took Bill Shankly shocked a city, but how he lived is even sadder. He built Liverpool into a machine. He made fans believe, but in the end, the man who gave everything to football died heartbroken. Bill Shankly spent 16 years as a player at Preston North End from 1933 to 1949. He was a club hero and even became captain of the team. By 1949, Shankly was 35 years old and had lost his first team spot. He started thinking about becoming a coach instead of a player. When Carlisle United offered him a job as player manager in March 1949, Shankly took it. But his exit from Preston was bitter. The club's bosses and some teammates were angry he was leaving. They refused to give him a testimonial match, a special game to honour his years of service. This hurt Shankly deeply. In his own words, it was the biggest letdown of his life in football. This early betrayal would shape how Shankly viewed club owners for the rest of his career. After leaving Preston, Shankly began his journey as a manager with smaller clubs. He took charge of Carlisle United from 1949 to 1951. In his first season, he helped them climb from 15th place to 9th. The next year, they finished third, just missing promotion, but then trouble started. Shankly accused the Carlisle board of breaking a promise. They had agreed to give his players a bonus for finishing in the top three. When the board went back on their word, Shankly quit in protest. He would not let his players be cheated. Shankly then moved to Grimsby Town. The club had fallen from the first division to the third. Shankly took a pay cut to manage them, showing he cared more about ambition than money. At Grimsby, he ran intense training sessions and nearly won promotion in his first season. But over the next 2 years, Grimsby lost steam. The club could not afford new players. Key players were sold. By January 1954, Shankly had enough. He quit again, saying the board lacked ambition and support. His next stop was Workington, a small club in Cumbria. They were near the bottom of the 3rd Division North. Shankly saved them from finishing last and lifted them to 8th place the next season. But Workington was run on a tiny budget. Shankly had to do office work himself, answering the phone, typing letters, and even collecting the wages from the bank each week. The stadium was shared with a rugby team, and the rugby officials ran the board. Shankly argued with them often about the poor pitch and how football was treated as less important. In November 1955, Huddersfield Town offered Shankly a job as assistant manager. He took it right away and left Workington. Shankly later proudly said, "I was never sacked in the whole of my life." He always left on his own terms, choosing his principles over comfort. After time at Huddersfield, Shankly joined Liverpool FC in 1959. The club was in bad shape. Their training ground, Melwood, was a sorry wilderness. Shankly demanded full control before taking the job. Then he got to work. In his first year, he cleared out 24 players. He brought in new talent like Ron Yates, Ian St John, Kevin Keegan, Ray Clements, and Emlyn Hughes. He created what became known as the Liverpool Way. This included the famous boot room, high-pressure training, improvements to Melwood, unity among players, and always putting fans first. Success followed. Under Shankly, Liverpool won 3 league championships, 2 FA Cups, and a UEFA Cup. He brought in the anthem, "You'll Never Walk Alone." He created an identity for the club, saying simply, "We are Liverpool." Then, on July 12, 1974, Shankly shocked everyone. At age 60, just weeks after winning the FA Cup, he announced his retirement. No one saw it coming, not even his players or closest friends. The news stunned Liverpool fans. They jammed the club's phone lines, hoping it wasn't true. The Liverpool Echo newspaper ran the headline, "Soccer Bombshell, Shankly Retires." Even fans of rival team Everton were shocked. One Everton supporter said, "You'll have me crying. That's terrible." Shankly said he was retiring for personal reasons. He wanted to have a rest, spend more time with family, and maybe get a bit more fun out of life. His wife Nessie had encouraged him to consider stepping down. She said, "What I want, and why Bill is retiring, is for this family to get a chance to see more of him." But there was more to the story. Shankly had set very high standards for himself. One player said the pressure of living up to his own legend became too much in the end. After the 1974 FA Cup final, Shankly felt completely drained. The thought flashed across his mind that maybe it was time to stop. What happened next was cruel. Despite all he had done for Liverpool, Shankly was not offered a director's role or any formal position. The new manager, Bob Paisley, and chairman John John Smith kept Shankly at a distance. They wanted Paisley to build his own authority. Shankly was a man who could not live without football. After retiring, he kept showing up at Liverpool's training ground out of habit, but he was eventually told to stop coming. The club thought his presence might undermine the new manager. This rejection crushed Shankly. Friends said he became increasingly bitter about being shut out. Kevin Keegan later called this the saddest thing that ever happened at Liverpool. Shankly soon regretted his decision to retire. He admitted it might have been the biggest mistake of his life. His retirement became a terrible wrench for him. In the years that followed, Shankly felt lost. He occasionally sat in the stands as a regular fan. He once said his career had been a long sacrifice with little real enjoyment. His bond with the supporters stayed strong. He even joined them on the famous Kop stand in 1975. Oddly, he found more love from Everton than from Liverpool's own bosses. Then, in September 1981, just 7 years after retiring, Bill Shankly died suddenly at age 68. He had a heart attack on September 26th and went to Liverpool's Broad Green Hospital. At first, he seemed stable, but on the morning of September 29th, he had another massive heart attack and died in the early hours. His death was unexpected. Shankly had stayed active and appeared healthy. He never smoked or drank. The timing made it even worse for Liverpool as a city. The area was already suffering from economic problems and the recent Toxteth riots in July 1981. Shankly's death felt like another blow to an already wounded city. The public response was huge. Both Liverpool and Everton cancelled their training sessions when they heard the news. At the Labour Party's annual conference, people stood for a minute of silence to honour Shankly. His socialist principles and working-class values were well known. Tributes came in from former players, colleagues and rivals. Sir Matt Busby, the great Manchester United manager, was reportedly too upset to talk to reporters. Liverpool's chairman John Smith said, "In my opinion, he was the most outstanding and dynamic manager of the century." In Liverpool, crowds gathered at Anfield to pay respects. At the first home game after his death, the famous Kop Terrace became a sea of tribute. One fan held up a handmade banner saying, "Shankly lives forever." Thousands lined the streets for his funeral. Shankly was cremated at Anfield Crematorium on October 2nd. His ashes were later scattered on the Anfield pitch near the Kop end, forever connecting him with the ground of his beloved club. The next year, Liverpool FC created a permanent memorial. The Shankly Gates were built outside Anfield in 1982 with the words, "You'll never walk alone." His widow Nessie unlocked the gates at the opening ceremony. Years later, a bronze statue of Shankly was placed at Anfield with the words, "He made the people happy." Joe Fagan, who later managed Liverpool, suggested that Shankly may have died of a broken heart. The club that Shankly had transformed had pushed him away when he needed them most. Bill Shankly's legacy lives on at Liverpool FC and in football worldwide. He turned a struggling club into champions. He created a special bond between the team and its fans. His famous quotes and ideas about football still inspire people today. But behind the glory was a man who gave everything to football and got too little in return. In the end, Bill Shankly was a hero to thousands who died feeling like an outsider at the club he built. That's the real tragedy of a man who made so many others happy but couldn't find that same joy for himself.